Ladies and gentlemen, let's get this bad boy going. We have 33 updates we have to go through and give. I know it seems like we are going a little overboard, but I wanted to make sure that we would have no questions left over after this video. I wanted to make sure that we talk about every player, whether they're in or out, whether there's still maybe a game time decision, and we will be pulling our hair out because of it. But before we get into it, please go down there, drop a like on this live stream, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football, and humor me for just 10 seconds as I go through and set up this stream, and I'll hit you with an underdog ad read. If you want to check out any of those player props here sitting to my left, you can find all of these on Underdog Fantasy. When you sign up for Underdog Fantasy and use promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. So go to the link in the comment section, deposit $10. You'll immediately have $20 in your account. You can go have some fun, get into drafts with us on the stream, or maybe you want to check out these player props. I mean, I know we are going to have a lot of people looking at that Kadarius Toney line. He will be someone that we have to talk about with all the updates that we have in KC. But I think that should be about it. Let me go ahead. Let's dive right in to this first update here. Starting off with Jamal Williams. I mean, there was at one point of the week a thought that maybe with DeAndre Swift, who's back at practice fully, and with Jamal Williams, who's missing practice with an illness, that all of a sudden DeAndre Swift may finally be a top 10 running back, that it may finally come through. Well, for every DeAndre Swift owner, for everybody who listened to my idiotic advice and traded for DeAndre Swift a month ago, I owe you a massive apology. I mean, first and foremost, but also I need to give you the update that Jamal Williams is not going to be missing, that DeAndre Swift at the same time, while he was practicing in full all week, we're still getting the report that he's still pushing through some stuff. What the hell does this mean? Like, can we just know when we can start DeAndre Swift? Can you just please tell me, hey, yeah, we're not going to play DeAndre Swift the same amount of snaps as Justin Jackson this week? Like, so frustrating. It is what it is. Of course, in Detroit, I mean, you're going to have no Josh Reynolds. At the same time, you are going to have, I believe, no DJ Chark, who was activated off the IR or designated to return earlier this week. So neither one of these receivers with no TJ Hawkinson. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a borderline top 5 wide receiver with the volume he'll have this week. I mean, easy play. But going over to Chicago, we already know that Khalil Herbert was placed on the IR. This means wheels up for David Montgomery. We talked about this. With the combined workload of Khalil Herbert and David Montgomery every week this season, we've had at minimum 20 touches between these two running backs. Now, does that mean that I think that we are going to go ahead and get 20 touches every single week guaranteed from David Montgomery? No, but I mean, hell, maybe the 9 touches, 10 touches a game that Herbert was seeing, Montgomery will pick up half of that, maybe slightly more. And then someone that they did bring on, Darrington Evans, a running back that at one point a few years back we thought was the handcuff RB for Derrick Henry. I mean, funny to remember. I mean, Darrington Evans here. He is going to be activated. So I would imagine that you probably have Evans seeing 2 to 3 carries, 2 to 3 touches. I don't know. It's not like Montgomery's going to get every single one of those touches, but the Montgomery volume will definitely be up. Montgomery's a must start. Now going over to Dallas with Ezekiel Elliott. Sounds like he is going to play, but it is not guaranteed. Okay. So if you're reading this report, they did not promote another running back to the active roster for the Dallas Cowboys. So it sounds like they are planning on rolling Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard out there together, but there's still uncertainty in the air. So I will give an update on Sunday morning. As you know, I'm going to wake up at the crack of dawn. We'll be up at 6 in the morning tomorrow so we can go live for 5 hours before the games. I will be giving updates on the Ezekiel Elliott situation then. As of now, looks like he's most likely going to play. But clearly, if he were to miss, Tony Pollard would be a top 5, top 10 running back. But now going over to the Buffalo game, sounds like everybody's good to go. Sounds like they are going to be able to make it to Detroit. Now, keep in mind, I've lived in Texas, Austin, Texas, and Florida. That is my experience with snow. So I'm sitting here on Twitter looking at snow 10 feet tall. God knows how tall it is. I would have no idea how the hell they got all these players to the airport. I don't know if they literally sent people out there with bobsleds and huskies to be able to go pick up Josh Allen, take him to the airport, and then clear the runway. I don't know how. I have no experience with snow. I was a little worried that maybe they weren't going to play. Sounds like they are good. Sounds like you're not going to have to worry about it. And then going over to KC, Jarrett McKinnon will be playing. I think we can assume that this is going to be a two-man backfield between Isaiah Pacheco, the first and second down option, and Jarrett McKinnon as the third down, just primary passing down running back. And then we have no McCole Hardman on the IR, missing at least 4 weeks. You have no Juju Smith-Schuster either. So I thought earlier this week, it was going to be a difficult call that we are going to be sitting here going, okay, well, do we play Kadarius Toney? Oh my gosh, I don't know if we can. Well, now you can. Now that these two guys are officially ruled out, I would say Kadarius Toney is almost a must start if we're going back and looking at his underdog player prop here to see what the actual projection is this week. Of course, go sign up for underdog. Link in the comment section, link in the live chat, link in the description. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match. Right now, the projection on Toney's 53.5 receiving yards, about 10 fantasy points. Can I ask everybody here in this live chat, everybody spam the chat, do you think Toney has higher or lower than 9.75 fantasy points? This is for a half PPR scoring, but I would love to know your opinion. That way we can get a feel on if you think that he's going to be startable or not. Because if you don't think he hits 9.5 fantasy points, you probably shouldn't have him in your starting lineup. But I do think that this is a very good situation for him. But let's see. Every single person in the chat saying higher. We do not have a single person saying lower. Oh dear God. It looks like underdog may need to fix that line. But going over to what we have with Las Vegas, Davante Adams, still questionable, limited in practice. And I know last time Davante Adams was sick and he was questionable, we said, don't worry about it. If he's active, you have to play him. I mean, he's a must-start guy. And then he goes out and has what, like one reception for 5 yards against the New Orleans Saints where they just get shut out. It was disgusting, and you would think that I would learn my lesson. But if Davante Adams is good to go, if Davante Adams is active, Davante Adams needs to be in your starting lineup. I don't care about the matchup. I don't care about the offense. Davante Adams is a wide receiver that projects to see about 27, 28% of his team's target share any individual week. If a player like that is active, a player like that is in your starting lineup, please do not overthink it. But now going over to our next one, we have Romeo Doubs looking like he may be back in week 12. So y'all know, I mean, I'm a big Christian Watson fanboy. I had Christian Watson in a ton of best ball leagues. I mean, hell, we told everybody Christian Watson was a must-start guy this past Thursday night. Christian Watson will probably be a sell-high guy as we had Allen Lazard with 11 targets compared to Watson at 6. And now Doubs probably coming back. But going over to Los Angeles, Keenan Allen has practiced pretty much in full. How many weeks now? We've gotten a small taste of Keenan Allen. I think this is maybe the third separate week that Keenan Allen has had an in full practice since going down. I know that this report's saying no. I swear to God. I feel like every single week, at least every other week over the past 6 weeks, we've heard, oh, Keenan Allen should be good to go. Keenan Allen is... While Keenan Allen projects to play Sunday night, because it's the Sunday night game, unless you have a backup option, I would be very hesitant to rely on Keenan Allen. It's a good matchup in what should be a very high-scoring contest, possibly the highest-scoring game of the week. You would love to play Keenan if you knew he was 100% good to go, but as it stands, unless he's cleared by noon tomorrow when you have to make your lock for the main slate, I'm a little worried to tell people to plan on starting him and then all of a sudden he is healthy and active. I would say the same thing with Mike Williams. I'm a little more comfortable projecting Mike Williams to play. Now, if you had one of those guys and you were saying, Mason, I mean, the matchup's too good. I want to plan on playing Keenan Allen. I want to plan on playing Mike Williams, and you don't have an easy backup option to go to. You don't have Rondale Moore possibly for Monday night. You could plan on playing them and then pick up DeAndre Carter off the waiver wire if one of them is a surprise inactive. Sounds like DeAndre Carter is fully good to go. So I would say if you have Keenan, if you have Mike Williams, and you really want to play them, Just make sure that you have an alternate good to go either in the Sunday night game, Monday night game. DeAndre Carter should be someone sitting on a ton of waiver wires. And because these players are coming back, even though Gerald Everett looks healthy, Gerald Everett over the past few weeks has been a must-start guy for us because you had no Keenan, you had no Mike. I mean, where else were they going to go? You had no Donald Parham. Now that we are getting these guys back in Los Angeles, I would be very hesitant to project Gerald Everett as that mid-tight end one. But going over to the other Los Angeles team, we have the Rams here with Matthew Stafford being an 100% active player. I mean, I don't really know how much this matters, though, because with the Los Angeles Rams, I think there's only one player you can realistically start, regardless of who's at quarterback. The only player you can start is Tyler Higbee. Because A, the tight end position is the grossest thing ever in fantasy football, like it is every year. And B, with Tyler Higbee, he's going to get a natural bump up with his target share with no Cooper Kupp in this offense. And he was already being flooded with targets this season. If you look at the top tight ends from a targets per game perspective, you have Travis Kelce 1, Mark Andrews 2, like everybody would assume. Then after that, Tyler Higbee sitting at 3. So you're not wanting to play Stafford. You're not wanting to play A-Rob. You're not wanting to play Van Jefferson. The only guy you can play is Tyler Higbee in Los Angeles. But going over to Washington, Antonio Gibson looks like he's fully good to go against the Houston Texans. This will be nice because obviously with no J.D. McKissick here, Antonio Gibson projects to be a running back that's pretty damn good for a full PPR format. In that full PPR league, Antonio Gibson should get pretty much every single target out of the backfield, where if you're looking at the usage of Brian Robinson as a receiver so far this season, Brian Robinson has a whopping 7 receiving yards. 7. The entire season. So if you have no McKissick here, that volume does go over to Gibson. It's a good matchup against Houston. But with this Houston Texans offense, you have Brandon Cooks off the injury report. Brandon Cooks, 100% good to go. Nico Collins, 100% good to go. So naturally, you know what this means. Wheels up. Wheels up for Davis Mills. Davis Mills, top 3 quarterback this week. Great. Okay, obviously I'm joking. You don't want to start anybody in Houston. They're a dumpster fire regardless of who's playing. The only guy that's going to be viable will be Dameon Pierce. But now going over to Denver, Jerry Jeudy not going to play. Kendall Hinton, former quarterback for the Denver Broncos, questionable, and no KJ Hamler. So you know what this is setting up? Courtland Sutton to come out and dunk all over us. I am getting ahead of it right now. I am telling you, Courtland Sutton is a low-end wide receiver 1 when we have historically seen Jerry Jeudy removed from this offense. Over the past 2 seasons, or really 3 years, if you look at the game splits with and without Jerry Jeudy for Courtland Sutton is not a top 30, not a top 36, not even barely a top 40 receiver in games that Jerry Jeudy plays. However, when you remove Jerry Jeudy, the volume is essentially doubled. The fantasy points is essentially doubled. And we remove these other secondary options. Courtland Sutton, a bona fide stud, alpha wide receiver you got to start this week, as much as it pains me to say. And then also Greg Dulcich will be a viable option with nobody else here. But speaking of tight ends, we are going to have Mark Andrews, full participant Friday's practice. Don't worry about Andrews. Don't worry about Lamar Jackson. I know that there's been some scare that these guys maybe won't play. They're playing, okay? The spread on this game is 13 points. I think Las Vegas sportsbooks know significantly more than I do. I think Las Vegas sportsbooks know significantly more than you do, significantly more than anybody that you're going to find on YouTube, anybody you're going to find on the planet. They would not be making the spread of this game 13 points if there was a real shot you had no Lamar, you had Andrews. I think you can play both guys with confidence. And now staying in Baltimore, Gus Edwards may not play. So he was limited in practice throughout the week, but we don't have confirmation that he is going to be active. Now, if Gus Edwards is active, it doesn't matter. You can't start him. You can't start Kenyon Drake. You can't start Justice Hill because it's going to be a 3-man running back by committee where it's so hard to project anybody to get 15 touches in this offense. Now, if Gus Edwards were to miss, then Kenyon Drake is a viable option in a phenomenal matchup against the Carolina Panthers. So the only way you can start a running back in Baltimore this week is if Gus Edwards misses, then you can go through and play Kenyon Drake. If Edwards is active, avoid it like the plague. But now going over to Cincinnati, Jamar Chase didn't practice all week. I think we already know this. We already know he's out, but I just wanted to bring this up saying you can confidently play T. Higgins as that mid wide receiver 1 and Tyler Boyd as a top 24 wide receiver as well. I think we had him ranked around the wide receiver 18 spot. So please play Boyd. Please play T. Higgins. I know that they weren't great. I mean, the week before the bye, but Joe Mixon had 5 touchdowns. Now, I'm a Joe Mixon fan, and I am going to maybe ruin everybody's day here. But Joe Mixon will not be scoring 5 touchdowns again against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I find it highly improbable that that's going to happen. I think that they have to throw the ball a little bit more. I think more goes through Higgins, more goes through Boyd. Now going over to Arizona, we have Kyler Murray still as a game time decision. I mean, with Kyler, what's so frustrating is he plays on Monday night. So if you have him, you can't rely on him. Unless you really want to pivot to Colt McCoy, hook 'em Lawrence. You can't plan on playing Kyler Murray. In terms of planning on playing the receivers, sounds like DeAndre Hopkins missing Thursday practice. No big deal. Sounds like DeAndre Hopkins will be 100% good to go. We talked about this last week. You play DeAndre Hopkins no matter who the quarterback is, no matter who's alongside him. DeAndre Hopkins is an elite alpha wide receiver 1, regardless of who's playing at quarterback, regardless of the tough matchup against San Francisco. But Hollywood Brown may be playing. So if Hollywood Brown maybe is going to play here, Kyler Murray is maybe going to miss Rondale Moore, who had a very good week this past week, who you would naturally want to get pretty excited about because you have no Zach Ertz, so you would assume that he gets the bump up in targets. I would say that Rondale Moore, Hollywood Brown are both clear avoid players for me. If they're playing on Monday night where there's so much uncertainty in Arizona in a very tough matchup against the 49ers, 49ers have one of the best defenses in the NFL. I would prefer just avoiding everybody in Arizona, not named James Conner, not named DeAndre Hopkins. You can go through and you can play those guys, but everybody else, I think it's safe to avoid. And now, that should be it. Of course, thank you so much for checking out this live stream. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I will be live again tonight answering all fantasy football questions. I'll be waking up at the crack of dawn tomorrow morning to answer all your questions as well for about 5 hours, a little over 5 hours. So please make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. If you want to check out any of these player props, I'll show you a few of my favorites here. You can find the link to Underdog Fantasy down there in the live chat, down there in the comment section. I kind of like the Donovan Peoples-Jones line. When you sign up with promo code FLOCK, they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You can get into some weekly drafts with us on the live stream. You can get into a ton of drafts with us on the live stream in the offseason as well, where this last offseason we did over 700. You can find that link in the comment section. Like we said, 100% deposit match available in damn near every state. Chris Olave, 53.5 receiving yards is another one that I like. I'm just really trying to find this one. My favorite line of the week. I know he has a lot going on. I know we had to talk about this video, but the Davante Adams more than 78.5, assuming that he plays. But thank you again. I appreciate all of you so damn much. I really hope that you have a great day. I really hope I get to see you out in the live stream tonight. And we are about to hit 200 likes on the stream. So if you could go down there and hit that like button, I would appreciate it.